Has anybody ever said to you, just provide value and the clients will come? Or how about give and you will receive? But what do you give? And how much do you give? What type of content do you give? How about what type of referrals do you give? Or do you feel you give and you give some more, but the clients and referrals, or what I prefer to call introductions, never come? All you hear are crickets. When I'm asked about giving and how much and what should a consultant give, we discuss the challenges that they're running into, but I also provide my general guidelines for giving. My guidelines are not new, they're not an innovative approach, they're not creative, but they work. This video discusses 7 guidelines and how I came up with the 7 guidelines. And the guidelines work whether you are providing content to people or giving referrals, introductions. I'm Laura Burford. What I have found is independent consultants and even some small consulting businesses often try to do too much. The thing is, I've been there. But what changed for me is realizing less really is more. When you focus on what matters, what you're known for, who you serve, and how you help, you create better clients. You end up with consistent revenue and you get your life back. That's what I help consultants do. I help them focus on what matters. I help them take a less is more approach. And creating such an approach means when it comes to giving, you want to be strategic and you want to focus on what matters. If you're curious about what I mean when less is more and focus on what matters, grab my free guide, The Ultimate Guide to Building a Successful Consulting Business. There's a link in the description area, or if you put guide in the comment section, I'll make sure I send it your way. The basic giving guidelines that I'll discuss in this video are based on my thoughts, as well as what has worked and not worked for me, and questions received from people like you. People who are looking for advice on what to give, when to give, so that they connect with the right people, people who can become clients. I also ask successful consultants, consultants that excel at giving, what led to their success when connecting with people who eventually became clients. My goal with coming up with my guidelines was to determine what were the real problems I saw and heard, not the symptoms, but the root cause problems. Why were consultants not connecting? What wasn't resonating? Why were they becoming frustrated? And in some cases, burnt out. Also, over the years, I've read a lot of articles and books, as well as listened to podcasts and watched videos on giving. When somebody asks me about giving, I also often recommend 2 books, Give and Take by Adam Grant and The Go-Giver by Bob Burger and John David Mann. I don't recommend one book over the other. They're both good books, but the authors approach giving differently. All the authors believe in generosity and giving. They believe being generous leads to success in business and life. Adam Grant, a professor at the University of Penn, takes an analytical, research-driven approach in his Give and Take. He categorizes people into givers, takers, and matchers. Grant warns that unchecked giving can lead to burnout, and I'll add frustration. He recommends taking a strategic and thoughtful approach to giving leads to long-term success. Burger Mann in The Go-Giver explained giving with the help of a very powerful parable. Their approach to giving is all about putting others' interests first and offering value. They believe if you focus on others, there will be an abundance of clients and referrals. And that's great. But there are some basic differences in the approaches. Grant emphasizes smart, strategic giving so that you can avoid burnout and you're not exploited. And Berger and Mann emphasize unconditional giving, the providing of value that feels natural and makes you feel good. And although there are differences, there's also lots of similarities between the authors. They agree that generosity is a business advantage, not a liability, and that giving leads to success. They agree that giving helps build long-term trusted relationships. They agree that giving increases your visibility and influence, which leads to introductions, referrals, and eventually clients. And they both emphasize the importance of being authentic, being real, and genuinely helping others. Give and Take by Adam Grant and The Go-Giver by Bob Burger and John David Mann, along with my research and experience, resulted in what I refer to as my 7 Give and Grow guidelines. These are the guidelines I provide to people when they are struggling to connect. Struggling to connect when it relates to giving. Yes, I named the guidelines. And full disclosure, these guidelines do not replace my overall referral strategy or my overall content strategy, nor should they replace yours. But I believe these 7 guidelines are a good place to start if you want some guidance on giving and getting referrals that enable you to grow. And now for the 7 guidelines. The first one, take a strategic approach to giving. I can't overemphasize the importance of this guideline. Giving should be intentional and sustainable. And your giving needs to be strategic. It needs to tie to your philosophy, your point of view, and how you help your ideal client solve their problems. There are only so many hours in the day, and you need to be strategic as to what you give. This means setting boundaries and not helping with everything. This means prioritizing your giving. Taking a strategic approach means you provide somebody who fits your ideal client profile with a third-party article. But you just don't send the article. You support it with value-added comments that highlight your experience and expertise and show who you are. Taking a strategic approach might mean providing a strategic introduction between 2 people you know. Or it could be writing a helpful article that's tailored to your ideal client, your audience. You strategically decide on what value you want to provide and to whom you want to provide the value. The second guideline, focus on providing value. When giving, don't focus on creating clients or getting referrals or introductions. Instead, focus on how you can provide people value, value that ties to what you want to be known for. Your focus. Share insights, resources, or tools freely, but make sure what you share not only provides value to them, but it ties to what problem you solve. Connect people within your network to one another and don't expect anything in return. Be open to review something, provide feedback, and by all means, offer a tip that is aligned with your experience and expertise. But be careful. You can provide too much. I've watched more than one consultant give and give and give, and then sit back and realize that, you know what? I provided them the answer to their problem. Maybe I should have gotten paid for that. You want to be careful that you don't give too much so that you don't become burnout, frustrated, and you don't become exploited. Guidelines 1 and 2 are about being generous, but but providing value that strategically meets your ideal client's wants and needs. Both tie to concepts in the books Give and Take by Adam Grant and The Go Giver by Bob Burger and John David Mann. Guideline 3: be visible and consistent. I can't emphasize the consistency. Giving never stops, but to create clients and receive referrals or introductions, you need to continually share insights with your network. People who fit your ideal client profile, influencers, and partners. Over time, they associate you with your expertise. Does this mean you have to create content? No. If you're at a networking event and somebody needs a tip, feel free to give them a tip. But again, be careful not to become exploited. Guideline 4, and this guideline many people forget about. You want to recognize and thank people. Thank and highlight those who help you. Maybe they referred somebody to you, or maybe they forwarded a document of yours to somebody who reached out to find out more about you. Make it a point to thank them. It doesn't take that much time to drop an email or pick up the phone and call, or even send a text saying thank you. Guideline 5, provide introductions graciously. Referrals, or what I prefer to call introductions to people who can help one another, is one of the easiest ways to give, but be strategic about it. Know what will you provide an introduction for? Will you provide an introduction to everyone that asks for an introduction? Will you provide cold, warm, or hot introductions? For example, I prefer to give hot introductions, which means I make sure the introduction is of value to both people and both people are interested in connecting. Guideline 6, deliver value without pressure. More than once, somebody has said to me, a consultant has said to me, well, I keep giving them introductions, but I get nothing in return. This guideline is all about giving and not expecting anything in return. If you send an article or somebody downloads a lead magnet, expect nothing in return. If you host a webinar, make sure it provides value and let people ask questions. Expect nothing in return. If you reach out, make sure the reach out is warm and personalized, not generic, and make sure it doesn't sound like an AI prompt. Guideline 7, and this is the last one. Create giving guidelines. Guidelines that have a strategic focus as to what you're offering and the value that you provide helps you decide on what you will give and what you will not give. How and what you give needs to fit you and needs to be aligned with your ideal clients' wants and needs. By having guidelines, you can prevent yourself from going down a wrong giving path. I just discussed 7 guidelines for giving, or what I call give and grow guidelines. The first is take a strategic approach to giving. Ask yourself, do you share your expertise generously, but strategically? The second guideline, focus on providing value. Do you offer value in every one of your interactions? The third, be visible and consistent. Consistency is so important. Are you giving in a way that aligns with your energy, goals, and your philosophy as to how you help others? The fourth, recognize and thank people. Do you recognize the effort other people are making to help you? Thank them. It's easy to do. The next, provide introductions, referrals generously. Do you make it easy for others to refer you? Do you clearly articulate what you want to be known for, who you help, and how you solve problems so that you make it easy for people to introduce you. Sixth one, deliver value without pressure. Do you nurture long-term relationships and not expect anything in return? And the seventh guideline, create given guidelines. Create guidelines just like the seven I've discussed here. But ask yourself, do you know what strategic value you want to provide? Do you have boundaries around what you want to give? And have you taken the time to create strategies for your content, as well as strategies for referrals, or what I call introductions? Thank you for listening to this video. This video about give and grow. I hope you find the give and grow guidelines helpful and you walk away with at least one idea you can implement immediately. Something you can implement in your consulting business that's not going to take you tons of time. Let me know what that one thing is in the comments below. And don't forget to download the Ultimate Guide to Building a Successful Consulting Business. A link is in the description area, or post a comment with guide, and I'll make sure you receive the document. The guide is designed to help you build a consulting business that works for you and the clients you serve best. A consulting business that focuses on what matters and approaches what you do with a less is more philosophy. As always, if you want to discuss your consulting business, reach out. We'll find a time to talk. I look forward to seeing you in the future. And now, until then, take care.